What is going on, everybody, man? King Recon here, and welcome to day number 3 of the 25 days of Santa Recon, man. Now, if we're going to be talking about my favorite experiences from 2010 until now, there is absolutely no way in all of the Flagnards that I could miss out on discussing this wonderful tale right here, man. This tale that in one word, I can sum up my entire experience with it, and that one word is fun, man. I had fun discussing it, I had fun experiencing it, I had fun reacting to it, I had fun making videos on it. Ladies and gentlemen, this wonderful tale that made me destroy a chair that is probably going to be a legend for generations to generations. They're all going to ask, Grandpa, why is this chair broken and why do you still have it? Literally, the only thing it's used for is just a stand. And I'm going to be like, well, listen to me, son. It's because a long time ago, and I'm going to take them right into my library, because you already know your boy does it big. When I get older, your boy's getting a library filled with a whole bunch of greatness. I'm going to take them right into the tea section. And when I get to the tea section, I'm going to look through them and I'm going to be like, listen to me. Listen. A long time ago, your grandfather was into an incredible series where it was headed by a legendary Bishokuya with blue hair and an orange jumpsuit. And I'm going to tell him about the greatness and the awesome sauce of Toriko! I mean, bro. Where do I even begin? Where do I even begin, man? This series provided some of my favorite memories that I have of doing YouTube and of reading manga weekly. There's actually one moment in particular. I'm going to go through this little order right quick. There's one moment in particular that every time I look back to my initial YouTube experience of really trying this out and covering chapters weekly and whatnot, even though there have been more hype chapters since then, and there was honestly probably some more hype chapters before that, there's one chapter that will always have a special place in my heart from Toriko, and if I were to make a collage of my favorite weekly chapters that I've covered here on the channel, just on a personal level, it would have to be, I think it was chapter 287 of Toriko, man, which is the Blue Oni's introduction. I can't even begin to explain to y'all. I mean, if y'all were there, you remember the amount of hype that was flowing through my veins, man. I was just so excited for this entire brand new world that was presented to us. And if y'all remember the chapter before that, Heracles just finished wiping the floor with Toriko. I mean, he snorted and Toriko, half of his body was clean down the middle. So the following chapter, when the blue was introduced, when the Blue Oni was introduced, it was a brand new world, son. Because up until that point in time, the Red Oni, to me, I mean, we already knew about Gourmet Appetite to a certain extent, but to me, that was mainly only a representation of their hockey. You know, as a massive One Piece fan, that's the best thing I can explain it. Is like, it's a representation of their will as a massive monster. That's the way I always took the Gourmet Appetite. However, whenever Blue was introduced, it opened up this whole brand new world to me where I was like, no, these monsters actually might have a mind of their own. So when I saw this thing come out and hit him with a devil fork, I was like, yo, I'm out! I'm out of here! And it was so amazing to me. And I remember at the time, there was a lot of theories that we were discussing about the nitro and what those Gourmet Appetites truly are. So when that chapter came out, there was so much discussion material on top of the fact that one of the 8 kings was being boxed by Toriko's Oni. So much fun, man. I adore that. I adore that entire stretch of chapters, like with Heracles and Toriko, and then the Blue Oni coming out, and then whenever they head over to Bambina, and Bambina's out here throwing mountains, moving at 0.00001 of a second. So much fun, man. Such a fun journey, such a fun experience, but let me talk about that initial binge real fast, man. When I was first going through Toriko, it was one of those things to where very early on, I knew that this was going to be one of the series that I really enjoyed once I caught up to it. I remember going through the Regal Mammoth arc, and the moment that you get to the GT Robo stuff, it's so intense. I mean, you feel that Mitsutoshi genius so early on, where I was like, man, because the mystery was there, the hype was there, and the way the panels were structured was really, really nice as well. And I just really enjoyed going through the entire arc and seeing how this series could be, because the initial concept of having this character going out and searching for food in order to complete his full course menu, his dream full course menu, was so fascinating. I'd never heard and or seen anything like this. It's like a different version of the 7 Dragon Balls, except the 7 Dragon Balls are each individually unique and give you this certain different ability. Like, it was a really cool concept, right? And so I was looking forward to seeing what this journey would lead down towards, and how finding these different animals or finding these different monsters with possible food ingredients inside of them was going to lead into some really cool adventures, especially with how early on you already saw the sense of adventure within the series. But then the battles came in, man, and the stuff with Mansum and the GT Robo, and then you go into the following arc. You ask any Toriko fan when it is that we started putting the with the Toriko. Listen to me, man. Century Soup. Tommy Rod. As someone who's a big fan of villains, when I saw my boy Tommy Rod and Toriko duking it out for those chapters, and how intense it was, the blood, the 5 Ren, yo, bro, after that fight, I was doing cookie punches to the air. Straight up. I was out there in public, it was cookie punchy. I was a mark. I was like, oh, this is crazy. I was already deeply invested, and I love the whole concept behind the arc and everything, but that battle between Tommy Rod and Toriko was so much fun. And then continuing on from there, and then you get to an arc that I really, really adore. And if I've never really thought of my favorite Toriko arcs, like how to rank them, but if I did, this one would be really, really high up there for me, because this is where Toriko truly solidified itself as a great series in my mind, because it didn't just rely on the aspects that it was taking from several different series and just expanding upon them. This arc right here, the Meteor Garlic arc with a live bearer, changed how I thought about this series, man. It truly elevated it to the point to where I have it right now. I mean, I feel like the Toriko and Tommy Rod stuff elevated it to that point before that, but this is where, in my mind, I saw Mitsutoshi's creativity coming into full fruition, and I adore this arc. I love this arc. I love how it challenges you mentally. I love how you go into the chapters and you get a completely different feel than you do in almost every single other arc in the series. It has a sense of adventure. It has the characters doing their awesome things, but it does it in a very, very different way, and I adore this arc, man. Gourmet casino greatness. I mean, I love the casino setting in anything anyway, but having a gourmet casino and the way this arc was done, it was so good, dude. And if I'm not mistaken, I think the post version of this arc is whenever we see Midra and we start getting like the things, you know, heading towards what was going to become the cooking festival. And after that we get the 4-Beast arc. 4-Beast arc was out of this world, but then, man, we get into the masterpiece of one of the greatest arcs in this genre, bro. In this demographic and in this medium. And you heard me correct, in all three. In all three, genre, in the demographic, and in the medium. Cooking Flipping Festival. Chapter 263. Yo, man. Toriko during the cooking festival, it was reaching heights where I was like, dog, relax. We gotta relax. We've gotta relax, man. Some of the most memorable stuff that I remember reading in terms of like binge. Like, we all have our memorable binge reads. And some of us may have like a lot of those. In my case, if I were to try to line up like my favorite binge reads that I've ever had, this one would be somewhere in the top 10, man. I absolutely adored going through this arc, bro. I could not stop once I started. It was one of those things, dude. And just the way that Mitsutoshi was able to carefully construct the arc to where whenever you left from one part to the other, the transition was so seamless that it made it seem like the whole arc was just perfectly plotted together. From the moment that you get the Tommy Rod and Sunny situation, transition right over to what was going down with everyone else that was in the arc, transitioning over to Toriko versus Starjun, from Toriko to Starjun, seeing what was going on with Joa and Jiro, and then from then on going to Ichiryu and Midora, and then from Ichiryu and Midora to the end of the arc. It was masterful, man. And the plot twist with the Nitro, seeing the Ikasia flashback, my man Jiro stopped the rotation of the planet, chapter 263. Some legendary stuff, man. I mean, dude, look, where's my panel? There it is. This panel right here was my iPod Touch wallpaper for like a good year and a half. I love that panel, and every time somebody would ask me where that's from, I'd be like, Toriko! Yo, man. Dude, it was just so much fun, bro. Like, yo, it's Toriko, son. And then after, I mean, it's just this battle, dude. Toriko and Star, it's a 5-star classic. It's a 5-star classic. And then whenever you go back and you look at what was going on in this volume with all the greatness that was happening here, and you go to chapter 260, bro. Let's look at this chapter, bro. The world's greatest gourmet hunter, bro. Just look. The catapult there. Dude, it was insane how he always managed to like trump every single other thing. Remember when we first saw Wolfgang Geddes, bro? We were like, yo, what is this? Then when chapter 264 came out, man, and the night no Toriko fans slept. I remember just staying up all night waiting for that chapter because Toriko had been on break for a month, because that's whenever I caught up. And I was just so happy to have it back, man. That was my first ever weekly review for the chapter. And from then on, it's history, man. And we reacted to or reviewed every single other chapter after that. Except for a few chapters, gotta take hiatuses. But it was just such a fun journey, such a fun experience, so many different things. Post-time skip, there were so many individual chapters that stick out to me as like being some incredible and insane revelations and moments. But then whenever I look back on it, I really adored even the stuff when it was just the characters interacting, like in Area 6. I really just love that setting and having all of the characters go throughout their different situations and journeys, and meeting those new characters and whatnot. And it's just an experience that it's so hard to put into words, because looking back on it in hindsight, I feel like it's one of those series that is truly amplified by experiencing it on a weekly basis. And I say that, but the first half of the series to me, like, I don't know how I would have done it weekly. I don't know. I have no idea. So I would love to ask like a Toriko fan out there who just binged the entire thing. How do you feel about the second half of the series? Because the second half of the series to me sticks out as such a wonderful weekly experience because of how it felt on a chapter to chapter basis, and having to wait for the next chapter and having to think about the chapter that you had just read and whatnot. And it really amplified a lot of that stuff and made it a lot of fun. And even though I have certain qualms and issues with the way that certain things were handled in the final saga, especially when it came to, I mean, for me, I really wanted to see more when it came to Coco and Sunny and how they were able to accomplish their dreams and whatnot. But even with all of that, by the time the final chapter came around and we were able to get those wonderful chapters with all of them sitting together at a dining table, and then of course having the final chapter, which is like the first chapter in Act 3, it just really made me think back at the adventure and say, man, this was an incredible journey, and it's one I'd never forget and still haven't forgotten. It's been 3 years since then. Can't believe that's insane. Since 2016, and it's one of those experiences that you just never forget. You just never forget, and once you go through it, those experiences and those memories always stick with you, because it's like Mitsutoshi crafted so many things to go in a way to where whenever certain things were revealed, they were done in such a manner to where it really is unforgettable. Like whenever, for example, whenever we saw Jiro unknock himself, that's something that had been built up to for a very, very long time. And to actually see that and then following that with, yo, you lizards ain't got nothing, I eat y'all for breakfast. Jiro greatness. Seeing all the 8 kings and like in the manner that he does it too. Man, dude. Man, it's the Emperor Crow, bro. It's the Emperor Crow. Whale King Moon, man. Genis. And I remember when Dragon King Darius was first introduced, bro. I was like, what in the flying flagnards is that? Insanity. And then the stuff with Acacia, man. And then those chapters with Neo, which were extremely freaky. And those worlds, but they were also a lot of fun, man. The Nitro. Joa. You remember Joa versus Midora? That was the crazy stuff to experience, man. But just overall, when it comes to Toriko, it's one of those things that I'm so thankful that I got into early enough to where I could have it and talk about it on the channel. Because it is one of those series that is definitely amplified, at least to me, whenever you have others to discuss it with. It has that One Piece and Dragon Ball effect, to where you really want to go and talk to other people about the series, regardless of whether it's a certain theory or a certain discussion about the world, or just talk about something when it comes to like a versus battle of, like, I don't know, one of the kings versus another one of the kings, whatever the case may be. It was just always a fun series to discuss and to experience. And for that, I'll always be thankful to Mitsutoshi, and I'm so glad that I was able to dive into the awesome sauce known as Toriko, man. And it's one of those experiences that whenever I go back and I reread the chapters, or I reread certain moments in the series, it always takes me back to whenever I first experienced it, and I think that's something special. It's something special because memories are precious, but memories that you share with others, there's nothing more precious than that, man. And I think that's why this series will always have a special place in my heart. But I hope everybody has an awesome of a day, man. I just wanted to come on here and talk about the Toriko greatness. You already know how it is, how we deal with the awesome sauce of Toriko. Dawn Slime, man. I'll never forget whenever Dawn Slime came down as like a meteor, like a comet, from the sun down to go fight Acacia, dude. Some of the most hype stuff, man. I mean, I was hyping my boy up for so long. Dawn Slime, bro. And then whenever Genis, the actual Genis, popped up behind the one that we thought was Genis. Man, dude. And with God and insane stuff. Insane stuff, bro. I mean, Mr. Toshi always found a way to... Oh, my God. The third. The third! Yo! Hold on, bro. Hey, to end this video off, we got to end it off with a third. We have to end it off with the third, bro. Look at him. Hold on, coach. The third, bro. Hold on, coach. Where's the legendary scene? I think I passed it. Look at Blue. Man, hit him. Here it is. Here it is. He hit him with the "see you later." See you later. Yo, man, the third, bro. Yeah, we used to hype up the third so much, man. Absolute greatness, dog. But I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. Toriko awesome sauce. Let me know your memories and your fun experiences with the series. And I would definitely love to know when it was that you came to truly, whenever you came to appreciate and or realize that Toriko was something special and something that you were going to enjoy. Like whether that was Regal Mammoth, whether it was Century Soup very early on, or whatever the case may be, or it took you all the way until Cooking Festival, or maybe even later after that. Like, when was it that you truly came to enjoy the awesome sauce of Mitsutoshi Shimabukuro's Toriko, man? I would love to know your stories in the comment section down below, and I will see y'all next time. Have an awesome day. Toriko greatness, man.